ratio that you hear is 24 eggs, chicken eggs to 1 ostrich egg, which leads to, what do you really do with an ostrich egg at that point? You can make a 12 times batch of cornbread.
Does it taste any different than a chicken egg?
It's sulfated, and it's extremely sulfated, and the white has this kind of. I hard-boiled the first one that I worked with. The exterior has more of a translucent gray appearance as opposed to that white that you would expect. And the yolk, however, looks exactly like you would expect it, but it smells like you had just opened up a sulfur bomb. The coolest part about the ostrich egg, quite frankly, is the shell. It definitely sounds like you're beating on, a piece of steel. You want to hold your hand right here for a second? Just while you can feel the gelatinous shape on the inside. And I thought immediately at first that it just wasn't cooked. The membrane on the inside is very, very thick, very strong. Obviously it needs to be. It's definitely got a really different texture and feel. Yeah, very much so. So what I thought I was going to be able to do initially was to cut this in half, and then I wanted to be able to put it back together and slice down and show midsections of it after whipping it and filling it. I just had these grandiose ideas, But what happened, and you'll see right here, is when I cut through this egg, it literally fell apart. Watch me get a perfect cut this time. Too heavy, it's going to fall. Oh, I did. Way better than the first time. So this is actually the white, and as you can see, it's relatively, it doesn't hold, it's not very firm. It almost looks like a jelly. But what I did find is that it cut very well. It's very potent. Like I said, it made its way all the way downstairs from our upstairs prep kitchen, this morning, and I asked myself even, is this egg, is it bad? I didn't know, but I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's just fine. So quickly, just a handful of components that I ended up deciding to use here were the egg whites. We rendered out some house-made pancetta. These were the yolks that we passed through a small sieve and then cooked them on a double boiler. So now they have just a little bit of texture to them, and they're good for a garnish. The red that you see is a little Aleppo pepper.
Okay. And you said you cooked it again to get the sulfuriness out?
That was, I was thinking that might help, and quite frankly, now all I really smell is yolk. So a few fine shaved onions, tobacco onions, essentially. Named for the shavings off of the tobacco forage down in the south. And I thought the textural notes of this would be really nice, also bringing in the onion, because I did use a bit of caramelized onion aioli to actually develop our basically deviled egg. Which came out great. So we used creme fraiche and caramelized onion aioli and tarragon, which I think are all really standard components in a deviled egg. Smoked paprika. Once again, trying to figure out ways to come away from that sulfated tone. So I thought really what we would do is just kind of allow the bread to be the base for our, essentially, a deviled egg. This fried black kale has a real nice earthy tone to it. Kind of foresaw this as more of a salad, but I feel of it as more of a bruschetta now. It's surprisingly fantastic.
You're eating an egg that's not a chicken egg?
I don't think so. I think right now, at this point, everything's so well combined, I'm picking flavors apart, and I'm not finding any of the negativities that I found before in the egg when I started working with it. I know that Jeffrey works with rabbits, and I know he's been dabbling with a small charcuterie program that he has over there. And one component in the rabbit that I think always gets looked over and tossed to the side are the lungs. Quite frankly, I would have much rather had a lung than a ostrich egg.